Hey, everybody. Happy New Year and welcome to the 21-day Goal Acceleration Program office hours. We're going to officially start in 4 minutes or so. At the top of the hour, we're just going to get everyone a chance to log in. Meantime, if you're here and I see there's a handful of you already logged in, you can do me a favor and just go over to the chat section, say hey, say hello. Just let me make sure that you can hear me and that, well, lo and behold, you can see me and you can see my partner in crime here, Jordan Terry.
Hi, guys.
And let us know if you can see and hear us because we're here and we're ready to kick this office hours off here just very shortly. I see we've got Vince and Cindy. Hey, yo. And gosh, we've got, I don't know, the program officially starts today. I know for those of you who are members, we talked about and shared this program with you guys at the last member training. So many of you may well be, halfway or even complete with this program at this point. But if you have questions, that's what we really want to do, is to be able to answer them. So I'm going to just sit tight here and give everybody a chance to log in and let Jordan wrap up whatever she's doing over here while she's getting, access to you guys set up. And so do me a favor, guys. If you've got a question about anything that you've gone through so far for the 21-day Goal Acceleration Program, go ahead and put it into the chat section. The whole point of this time together is to answer your questions. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the program, and we'll do a brief run through of the week's activities if you're just getting started on the 21-day gap. But if you've got a question, let's say you've been working through the program and you got to a place where you're like, I wonder what you meant by this. Well, this is the time to answer those questions. My goal here is to get you in and out of this in the next, half hour or so, and get you on your way to working on your actual 2020 goals. And so hopefully this will serve you in terms of getting any questions that you have answered for the program. So we're getting close enough to the top of the hour that I think I'm gonna go ahead and just start talking about the stuff we had planned for you. And
all right, let's do it.
What I'm going to do is give you guys a chance to warm up and ask some questions, and then hopefully get you guys. Hopefully the program's very straightforward. I'm really hoping that it's straightforward, that there was enough instruction in there, so that it makes sense to you, and that let me ask you guys this question, and I can actually pop up a poll here. I'm curious to see, have you already started the
typing and talking.
21. I know it's not an easy thing to do.
It's a skill.
All right, so have you already started the 21? So I'm just going to put in yes, not yet, and display results. And
you have to click preview and then publish. Yeah.
Okay, so I just kicked up a poll there for you guys to answer as we're getting logged in. I'm curious to see how many of you started already, and then how many of you have not started yet, because that's going to greatly sway, how we approach this information.
Yeah,
that
Dwight
we're going to
says
share.
day one done. So good job, Dwight. But the majority of people so far who have answered say not yet.
Tracy says day 3. It's starting to even out. Very good. Very good. Well, I'm just going to leave that poll up and running just for a few more moments. And what I want to do here is start going into how you access this program. So here's if I could set an intention or a goal for our time today, here's what I'm hoping that we can accomplish. One is I want you to know that this is your chance to ask questions about any of the day's activities. Okay. The second thing I want to do is, if you haven't started yet, I want to get you into the program. I want to show you where the stuff is at. And then the last thing that I would like to do is go through the first week's activities. And we're going to read through them very quickly. I'm going to pull them up on my screen and we'll talk through them. And if that prompts any questions, please go ahead and ask them. And then after that, I'm going to let you get on your way, because I know here's what's most important is you actually work on the activities in the program. And so we've got Carol, all right. So perfect. We've got folks who are ready to go. And it looks like, let me go ahead and end that poll there. It looks like everybody's answered. It looks like it's about half and half. Mm-hmm. Half of you have already started. half of you have not started. And so that's perfect because that means we've got a good balance. And for those of you who have already started, would love to hear some of the ahas or some of the insights that you've gotten as you've started to work on the program. What that does, it's going to give me some insights on what parts of it are going to be good for like next year if we do this program again next year. What are the pieces that are very effective in terms of planning and planning tools for the year, as well as tools to be able to help us get motivated to go. I know I go through this process, or I went through this process myself. I've been working through the 21-day goal acceleration program. And I think yesterday I just finished up, I forget which day it is at this point, because
You made the course, now you're going through the course.
I did. And yesterday I finally, you know what took me a long time is we have one day, and actually I think it happens twice where we revisit it, where it's on working on your environment, working on your workspace area. And I actually spent the last 3 days working on just revamping my office at home, because that's where I do the majority of my work. I took a trip up to IKEA, bought 2 additional bookshelves because I had so much clutter. And so I've been going through this program as well. And I have found that particular, through this entire process, that particular day for me has been the one where I was like, I absolutely need to stop and do this. And I've taken the last 3 days to do so. All right, let me go ahead and get started here. And Brooke says, unfortunately, I just got started this morning, and that's okay, because that's why we've wanted to schedule this office hours, is to make sure that you've got the information that you need, you got the insight and inspiration that you need to be able to get this started. So
yes. Just really quickly, I wanted to apologize. I have cedar fever really badly, so periodically I might be like dabbing my nose. I'm sorry, I'm gross. He made me be on this anyway.
Well, so. I told her, I have been telling her throughout the week.
I am so drugged up right now.
Take your Flonase, take your Zyrtec. You got to double down. You know, I'm so loaded up on Flonase and Zyrtec.
Yes,
I think my nostrils are like just turned to like brass or steel or something, because I went for a run this morning, because one of my goals is to be able to make sure I exercise for at least 20 to 30 minutes every day. So I went for a run this morning and I feel nothing, like no allergies, no nothing. All right, so let's get started. You can access all of the 21-day Goal Acceleration Program resources right from the member site. So when you log in, you're going to see a card that looks like the one that you see that's circled in red on my screen there.
If you're a Marketing Club member, you have this program.
Yes.
So it was an incentive for people to join the club. And if you were already a member of the club before last week, then you already have access to this. So if you've been a member of the Marketing Club, you have this. You don't have to
all you have to do is go in there and you'll find it. Just go in there and you'll find it. It's there. And for those of you who've been working on it, you know that. When you click on that card, it's going to open up a course site for the 21-day Goal Acceleration Program. You're going to see that there's a few major sections to the course site. Let me just get my highlighter pen option going here so I can circle a few things on my screen while we're talking. And so one of the things that you're going to see here, let me just make sure I got this right. Yeah. So over here, you see that there's course resources. You're going to see there's a message from me. You're going to see there's tools and resources. You're going to see there's a video on how to work this program. Then you're going to see there's part 1, which is on business planning. And we're going to dive into a part of part 1 today, or at least the first 7 days of activities today.
Because part 1 goes through day 12.
Yes.
So it's not like incredibly...
It just happened to be, that's the way it is. It just happened. The focus was on the activities, not the time frame. So I know you, in the ideal world, it would have been like, well, I guess the first Part 2 weeks, 14 days would have been just business planning, but I didn't want to put any fluff days in there or days that just didn't serve a point other than to meet some kind of time frame. But rather what we wanted to do is have you zero in exactly what the things, activities that you need to do to shore up your previous year, close it out, right? Get closure to the previous year, and then use that as motivation, use that as inspiration, and use that as validation for what we're going to accomplish in 2020. So you're going to see that there's 2 sections to the 21-day Goal Acceleration Program. The first part is on business planning, and that's where we dive into the nitty-gritty of helping you craft your business goals, or helping you really design both your business goals and your plans for those goals. Part 2 is about professional development. And the reason why we have a professional development component to this program is oftentimes one of the main reasons, or one of the big reasons, I should say, that we don't reach our professional goals or our business goals is because we require some professional development. Self-sabotage is probably one of the biggest reasons why we don't do what we hope to do, right? I might want to lose 5 or 10 pounds, but my self-sabotage of eating that ice cream every evening for whatever reason is sabotaging me. And so what we want to do, and in this case, it's not queso and ice cream. When it talks about professional development, it's about understanding how we make the effective contribution and some of the distractions or some of the things that happen or some of the things that we can even prevent so that we don't have that. And all of that is addressed in part 2 of the program in professional development. And then you see down here, there's a section on support and accountability. And once you go in here, what you're going to see that each day, well, actually, before we go into that, let me just make a point. A very, 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 very important course resource is the workbook. You're going to see under the tools and resources section is the 21-day goal acceleration program workbook. This is a Word document that you can actually type into, right?
Yes, it's meant to be your tracking worksheet for all the activities that we outline in the 21-day goal acceleration plan.
So it's your tool to type into. Like anytime there's an activity that you're going to do it in the workbook. Yes. And what happens is when you're done, your workbook then is basically your business plan for 2020. Okay.
That you can refer back to and make sure you're staying on track for your goals.
And you're going to want to keep revisiting it.
And revising it. Based off what happens during the year. It's supposed to be a living document for yourself. So while each day has the content from the workbook, like each day in the course has the content from the workbook, it's really important that you download the workbook itself so that you can type in it and keep it updated with everything that you're doing. Something I noticed from people in the private Facebook group and in our customer support queue is that some people are, when they try and download the workbook, they're getting a notification that they can't download this document. And that's likely due to any antivirus software you have downloaded on your computer. It's a Word document, so that's just something that you
it
mentioned.
Flags, the virus scanning software will flag any Word document or really any document that's not like a HTML page.
Yeah, so all you need to do is just change the settings on your Norton or whatever.
Or just say download anyway. Don't worry, I didn't put any viruses on it to infect your computer. It's just a regular old Word document that you can use to work through the program. And like I said, download it, work in it. And then my hope and my goal for you is that as you're working through this program, you're going to realize that this serves as your business plan for a big part of your year, because you're going to start creating, once you design your goals, you will then design your plans to achieve those business goals in the workbook. And so it's something that you're going to want to flip back to regularly. I say flip back as if you had it printed out.
Well, Brooke actually said that she did print it out.
There you go. There you go. Or, kind of revisit on your screen. I know having a place, and you very well might want to make it easily accessible on your desktop to serve as a reminder. One of the things that I've done, I have a lot of business goals. I've got business goals for our real estate business. I've got business goals for our training business, which is our paperless agent that you guys are part of. And so I've got a lot of different professional goals that I've set up. I've got so many, in fact, that I can't remember them all. Now, they all kind of are connected to each other. And, I've got like big goals and sub goals behind them, but I can't at any moment in time remember them all. So I've got little sticky notes below my computer at home where I'm always constantly reminded of, oh yeah, I have that. Oh yeah, I have that. And then, one more additional step you can take is have that document easily accessible on your desktop so that it prompts you to open it up and say, you know what? How am I doing anyway? Do I need to revisit anything? Do I need to change any of that stuff up? So yes, the workbook, very essential. Hopefully you have downloaded that. And then what'll happen if you're just getting started is you're going to see that as you go into the course site that there's 21 days of activity. You can do them 21 days consecutively. You can do them you can do them like 1, 2, 3. You can do them for a couple of days and take a break. Or you could do it like, I'm just going to do a whole bunch of them in one day.
Mm-hmm. Like Carolyn said that she had read through it all this morning. So
you're going to want to go back then, Carolyn, and just start working through it because you don't have to do it day by day. I think there is benefit to do it over a stretch of days. And the reason why is that as you're thinking and as you're planning and as you're designing, it's very helpful to walk away and do something else for a while, because your brain's going to continue to work on that problem. I found as I was going through this process is I had some goals that I thought were, like, this is a good goal that I want to do. One of them is related to doing more video for our real estate business. Okay. And so I thought that's a really good goal. And then I was like, you know what? I worked on that for a bit, kept on working. And then I was like, I'm going to go take the dog for a walk. So I stopped and I just left the word workbook on my screen, stopped, went to take the dog for a walk for about 20 minutes. And while I was on that walk, just kind of walking Milo around the hood, all of a sudden, like, new ideas entered into my brain about how I wanted to manifest that particular goal for doing more video in our real estate business. And I thought, gosh, if I would have just moved on to the next step and hadn't taken that time to process, I wouldn't have gotten as good quality design, or I wouldn't have designed my goals or the plans around them as effectively or as a quality, I would say, had I not just taken the break while I was going through this program. So I highly encourage you to go work on maybe a different goal. Maybe you have some fitness goals, maybe you've got some health goals, maybe you've got some spiritual goals, or any of other areas of life and dimensions of life. Maybe take a break as you're going through this and spend an hour or two working on those as well, because it'll help to engage the brain. That's what I found for myself. And so as you're working through, there was one more tip I was going to suggest. It was working through it over. The other one is, for example, some of them might require more than a day, like the working on my environment. Like when I started working on my environment, which is, I forget which day it is in the program, but we'll revisit it in one of the future office hours. But when I got to that day, I was like, okay, I just straightened up a bunch of piles that I had on my desk in a mess. And I was like, you know what? I didn't really get to the root of the issue. I didn't throw anything away. I just kind of shuffled stuff around. I was like, you know what? I'm going to throw stuff away that needs to be thrown away. Next thing you know, I had my office just in shambles and realized I had too much junk and I didn't have enough storage space. So I had to, the next day I was like, I'm going to go take a trip up to IKEA. I'm going to buy a couple of bookshelves. I'm going to put those together. That was a whole day in and of itself.
Well, IKEA furniture notoriously.
I had to build the furniture myself. So that basically took an all day, and then one more day to put all that stuff back and then throw it up in the appropriate places. So I say that because I don't want you to rush through the program.
Yeah.
Take your time.
I think one that you particularly, I thought would take more than one day is reviewing your last year's production. You had asked me to do a review of my work from the last year. And I don't know about you guys, but I tend to just do things as they need doing. And so it doesn't get necessarily put on my calendar, even though I'm working full days all the time. Like a whole day will go by and I'll be like, what did I do today? I didn't work on the project I thought I was going to work on, but I was working. So it does take a little bit of reflection if you kind of have that work style, but it's really important to take stock of what you have been doing so that you know what you can do going forward.
Right. Well, and that's actually the first day is what happened last year. One of the suggestions that I have is pull up your calendar, literally pull up a calendar, even if you don't keep I have everything in my digital calendar, all my appointments, my entire schedule. It's in there for every day, and it has for every day for the last few years. You can go back and say, what was Chris doing on this particular day in 2019? And you would see, I had, my routine is pretty much the same all the time. We'd be like, this is what I was actually working on in my calendar. You'll see things I was actually working on. Now, you may not be that specific like I am, but even just pulling up a calendar and looking and seeing what happened? My wife and I did this yesterday, but for our family, right? So we went out to lunch yesterday. We had all, actually my oldest daughter is now finally old enough where she can sort of be and manage the other kids. We have 4 kids. My oldest daughter, she's going into high school soon, and so she's old enough to where she can actually make them lunch and just make sure nobody hurts themselves. Call us if something bad happens. So anyway, we went out to lunch yesterday. And that's what we focused is on what exactly, what happened last year? It's been such a busy year. It's been such a big year and big things we were talking about it. My mom visited from Japan this summer and I totally forgot that she visited here and was with us for a month the whole summer. I was like, we were just kind of reflecting on what did we do, the trips that we took and the things that we did. And I was like, my mom was here this last year. I was like, really? I thought that was 2 years ago. I was like, no, it was literally just this last summer. So it's amazing all of the things that we overlook. And it was actually something grateful for that my mom was able to visit from Japan, because we don't get to see her that often. And so it was like one of those big things that took place. Now, I think that also happens professionally, right? There may be that one transaction that was just like it was the one that you never thought was going to get done actually got done. For Gary and I, it was being able to close on probably our most expensive listing that we've ever sold last year. With that one on Angel Wild was the most expensive listing that we've ever sold. And so that was a cause for celebration. But, it felt like, and we had been marketing that listing for over a year. So it felt like even when it closed, it was like, oh, finally that thing's done. And then when we were taking stock of what happened over the course of last year, kind of forgot that even happened because we had been marketing that thing for such a long time. So very important step for us to do. So let me just make sure I got everything else. Yeah. So I'm going to actually pull up a PDF of the workbook real quick, and we'll do an overview. Do we have, first, let me ask you, do we have to answer any questions before?
There aren't any questions in the chat right now, but please, guys, if you have anything, even if it's not what we're currently talking about, please feel free to throw them in the chat section. Chris and I will, make that small.
I'm working on it.
Chris and I will answer them as we go along, because really this time is meant to be Q&A with you guys. So we're doing an overview to kind of talk about things and get you thinking about the program. But really we want to answer any questions you have. Yeah.
All right, so let's go into the first 7 days. I'm just going to do a run through of the first 7 days of the program by reviewing the workbook. And if you have any questions about that, and then by that should take us about 12:30-ish our time. And then we'll wrap up any questions that you have, and then let you get back to working on this. My hope is that you will get another day done. If you're just getting started, you'll spend at least 90 minutes today working on day one, or 90 minutes today working on the program. It doesn't have to be just day one. So let's look at real quick through the workbook. You'll see there's a little message from Gary and me. And the first day is to, like we've been talking about, assess what happened last year. And so we've got some very specific questions that we want you to answer there. Don't take them too lightly. You know what I mean? Like, just don't read over it and don't take the time. That's why I suggest pull up a calendar. Another good suggestion that I heard from somebody was to pull up your phone and go through your photos and scroll back to your photos from January and just start scrolling through to see what the heck happened, right? And so we're going to look at all of those things that happened last year. We're going to look at what our biggest achievements were, what our successes were. We're going to look at some of, like where were there setbacks and what were their obstacles. All of these things are areas for us to just think about. So you want to answer those questions either into the workbook. I find that it's very, very effective. It's actually, it's a best practice for trying to learn and take action, is to go a step beyond the reading and interact with the materials, right? To be tactile with them. And one way you can do that is by answering the questions by typing in, or if you've got a pen and paper, you're going to print it out and write onto it. That's a very good way to interact with this information so that it sinks in. So it actually becomes part of the experience of designing your goals, as part of designing your business plans, as opposed to just keeping it in your head. Because what happens if you just read through this and don't actually take the time to answer the questions physically, you'll forget, like we all do, and it'll become less important. And now is the time to take advantage of what we all have, is a little bit of motivation. We all have a little bit of inspiration just because of the time of the year. It's why gyms stay in business, because of this time of year. Everybody's like, that's it. I'm finally going to get in shape. I'm finally going to go to the gym. And so we all have a little bit of that in us. Let's take advantage of that and do as much of this as we can and interact with it as intensely as we can by getting in there and answer these questions seriously as you work through it. So that's day one, is assessing what the heck happened last year. Day two is to go into the performance side of it. Oh, wait, just one more note. On day one, really consider what were the lessons learned. That's a big thing. That was something that we did as a team this year. We did a little offsite with our team, and we said, all right, what were the biggest lessons learned? And we put them up on big pieces of paper throughout the office. And actually, we did the planning session at my house. And then I have them in my truck. I just remembered I need to bring them inside. Anyway, so we have all of the biggest lessons learned from each team member. And what's important is we want to document the stuff that we learned. i.e. the mistakes that we made, so we don't repeat them. Lessons learned is experience, and we don't want to repeat the lessons learned. We want to be able to, take that lesson, turn it into wisdom, and act on it. So day 2 is about assessing your performance. Where is that? How did you perform last year? This is about getting into the numbers. So instead of just looking at what happened last year, right? That's day 1. Day 2 is to take stock of the actual numbers.
Yeah, because you can have an impression of your last year, but until you look at the actual numbers and substantiate that, it's more of a feeling rather than something you can act on.
Yes. Well, for most of us, the numbers are going to, that's part of what happened last year. But because we are in real estate and because we have a very specific context or a very specific conversation that we're in when it comes to planning and real estate, we can answer questions like, how many transaction sites did you complete? And so on and so forth. So you might have to go back and dig up the numbers. This one might take a little bit of time, a little bit of digging to figure out, all right, how many homes did I'm sure you know how many homes you sold, but you may not recall exactly what your split was between buyers versus sellers, right? And so you'll have to do a little bit of digging there and to be able to answer those questions. These will become part of the goals that you're going to have for your business, for your your professional goals. What I like to do is have a combination of both. When it comes to designing goals, I like to have actual performance related numbers, right? Like how many homes am I going to sell this year? But I also like to have other achievement type goals as well. They might be education goals that I might have. They might be something that I want to create, like, oh, this is the year I'm going to get into video and really blow up my YouTube channel, for example. Like those, I want to, in addition to production related goals, I like to have other goals to be able to have different areas of motivation, because that, for me, that's part of what personal growth is. Personal growth or professional development, I should say, is not about just simply trying to do more, do harder, but is to be very creative in the things that I'm going to explore, because there is only so much production related activity that I can do in a given day, in a given week, in a given month. And at a certain point, I need to take a break from it, because otherwise I'm going to burn out by having other types of goals that I can be proud of at the end of the year. I don't want to get to the end of the year and say, let's say I fell short of, if I only had just production related goals, like sell X number of homes, when I got to the end of the year, right, like there's some things that may be out of my control when that comes, when that happens. We do have a team environment. There's a lot of stuff that can happen, right? There's market issues, there's inventory issues. And granted, we can do an awful lot to be able to mitigate those issues. But if I only have production related goals and I don't have other types of goals, then that also becomes, it's not very satisfying just to have production related goals. I like to be able to see growth and progress in our firm. And that would, also as a person who leads our team, then I also like to see my team develop, right? Because that is also a goal. And it's, I don't want to be just sort of only looking at the numbers, but the numbers are really important. That's why we put them in here. Day 3 then is to start deciding, or I say begin the intention around the goals and the production related goals that you want to have. All right. So this is where in day 3, we are going to say, you know what, how many transaction sites do I want to do? And it's really a repeat of the questions from yesterday or from day 2, just switched around. Instead of saying, what did you do last year, is to start creating an intention around what you want to do in the next year. You look like you might be about to ask me a question. So I'm just going to check in and see if there's any questions.
There are a bunch of questions. So if you want to
all right, you want me to speed up or you want me to slow down?
Well, if you were talking for each day in such detail to give people time to ask questions, people have asked questions. So.
Okay, maybe we're at day 3. Let me just quickly, I'll go through a little bit faster on the first week of the first 7 days, because we are going to have another office hours next Monday, right? Where we'll address, any of the stuff from this current week and then set out for the next week. And then I'll answer the question. So day 3 is about setting the goals or beginning to set those goals. Day 4 is why do you want to achieve these goals? There's a great video that many of you have probably seen or heard from Simon Sinek about the why.
Love that TED Talk.
Yeah, it's a TED Talk.
And a book, I think.
And maybe a book. Anyway,
so good. You guys should definitely watch it.
What's
really,
the
really
yeah?
good.
I mean,
it's called Finding Your Why.
Yeah, something like that.
Simon Sinek.
Simon Sinek, Simon, and Sinek is like Sinek, I think it is. And if you type in Simon Sinek, Simon Sinek TED Talk Why, a great video about understanding the why, because the why is the motivation, right? The why, when you get at the root source, if there's no, I mean, if you say I want to sell 500 homes because, that's not good. You need to have a really powerful why to be able to spurn you to be able to achieve that goal. I mean, I joke around in this when we were talking about this with our member training previously about one of the goals that I had for a long time was to have, abs, 6-pack abs, right? And for years and to this day, I don't think it'll ever be a thing that happens, it's just not in my destiny to have, because I've worked really hard at it and I've never been able to have a 6-pack abs. Ironically, I've been able to run marathons. I've been able to do all kinds of other health-related goals, but never get 6-pack abs. And when I really start to explore the why, I don't have a why. You're right. Like I don't really,
just because
it was just like, oh, it would be a cool thing to do. Now, when I set a goal to run marathons or when I set goals to be able to like lose weight or get healthy, there was a real strong why. I either wanted to be strong or I wanted to like be healthy. After I had that kidney infection 2 years ago, I was like, I got to eat better. I need to drink more water. Right. And so I was able to do those things. Or when I wanted to run marathons, I wanted to be stronger. I wanted to have something strong that I did. But when it came to like 6-pack abs, it was not, wasn't a thing that I was really. Now, granted, I'm married and I have 4 kids. If I was a single guy and I was looking like maybe I would have a greater incentive to have 6-pack abs. But it's not the case for me.
Well, I think it's in Simon Sinek's TED Talk or book where he talks about the Toyota Corporation's 5 levels of why.
Yeah.
So like the idea is you have your goal. You ask yourself why that's important to you. And then you ask yourself why that reason is important to you. And you do that 5 times. And that's getting to the real root of why you want to do something. And that's going to be the bigger motivation.
Well, and oftentimes what happens is even though we may not, our subconscious or what we'll end up doing is we'll solve the root why. Like if the real reason why we're doing something is 5 levels deep, for me, why do you want 6-pack abs? Well, I want to look. If I kept asking the question, and so well, I want to be strong. I want to feel strong. Well, the way I solved it was by doing something other than get 6-pack abs. It was to go run marathons. For me, that was the solution to being strong, and feeling strong was to go do that. And it just didn't happen to coincide with the 6-pack abs. So what happens is we end up solving the why, and that's how we might manifest that goal. So very important to get clarity and understanding on that.
Okay, that wasn't us talking faster about these days.
No, it was not.
So last 2, let's do it.
Day 5 is to find the gap between your goals. Your gap is going to be where you were last year on these specific numbers and where you want to be. And there's going to be a gap. Let's say you sold 20 homes last year and your new goal is to get to 50 homes. There's a gap of 30 homes. And we need to understand that gap and we need to be able to bridge that gap. And we need to do that by the substantiation of activities, plans, objectives that we're going to do to close that gap. Because try harder is not a very effective solution. Just trying harder. Well, I sold 20 homes. I want to get to 50. I'm going to work harder, try harder. That I have never really seen that to work ever. Right. I mean, you guys are here. It's not a lack of trying. Trying harder is not going to be the problem. It's knowledge. It's skill. It's having the right plans in place. It's understanding what operations need to be in place to be able to bridge that gap, what marketing needs to happen. So that's where this is the beginning of really being able to understand how do we bridge the gap between where we want to be and where we were at the end of last year. And so this is an important day on day 5 because it is looking at what skills do I need, what knowledge do I need, what do I need to do to my operations, right? Where do I need to gain expertise? What parts of my business do I need to work on? So spend some time on day 5 because that is also going to constitute and set you up for day 6, which is how you're going to achieve those goals. This is essentially the plan. We need to have a bullet point plan for each one of the goals. So because we got to start building action. We can't just hope and intend our ways to success. We can definitely have hope, and we can definitely need intention for what we're going to do, but we got to take action. And it's very important that we don't take blind action, but we take some thoughtful action, so that we go in the right direction and don't find ourselves going in the wrong direction. And so having just a bullet point plan doesn't have to be something super crazy. Just list your goal and the steps that you're going to take or that you think you want to take to be able to achieve them. And then the last day for the week is to identify what might hold you back. It's probably one of the larger sources of failure to achieve our goals is what we call conflicts or goal conflicts. So, a good example might be, I want to sell more homes, but that's going to require me to work more hours. But, another goal that you might have is to spend more time with your family. And if that's the case, you've got two goals that are in conflict. And what's going to happen, what you will do, is the one that's ultimately more important to you. So you'll either neglect your family or you're going to neglect your goal for selling more homes. Now, that doesn't have to be that way if you identify the conflicts and understand that I can mitigate some of this. I can set certain seasons. I can set parameters to what I'm going to do, or I can revise my goals very purposefully so that I can achieve what I really want to accomplish. And so that's how you're going to spend the first 7 days of the 21-day goal acceleration program, is diving into answering those questions for yourself. Here's what I'll share with you, my own experience in doing this. And I've done something like this every year for many years now. Is that just the process of identifying and of what has happened, what you want to do, why you want to do it, the gap between doing it and what might hold you back. A lot of times that just gives you motivation to really get after your goals and really to get after working on it. Because what you're doing is now starting to get some clarity. We do need clarity. Humans need clarity in order to be effective, in order to be efficient, in order to be able to achieve the things that we want to. And this process is a way for you to get clarity. Now, let's help you guys get some clarity by answering some of the questions that you have. Want to run through and just kind of rapid fire. We'll answer many of them as we can. And then I was hoping to let everybody go 2 minutes ago, which has not happened. So my new goal is, we're going to revise it. My new goal is to let you go by 12:45 today, yes. At least 12:45 my time, which is about 40 some minutes from now.
40 some.
I'm sorry, less than 15 minutes from now.
All right. So Kim and Sean have similar questions. So I kind of want to answer one and transition to the other. That's going to take a little bit longer. Okay. Kim says, how do you upgrade to continue with Paperless Agent when you've completed the 21-day program? So if you got into the club by joining the 21-day program, then you are automatically enrolled in the marketing club. So you'll just finish the 21-day goal acceleration plan, and then you can access the rest of the marketing club membership benefits through your dashboard. And that includes a ton of stuff like the monthly value programs, which are the done for you campaigns that we give to you each month to stay in touch with your database and promote repeat and referral business, training, bi-monthly training on different technology platforms, different marketing ideas, things to keep your business innovative and on the cutting edge of, getting clients and servicing your clients. And it also includes a website called our Agent ID sites that you can use to set up your marketing presence online. So
and a bunch of education. And a ton of education. In fact, one to relay it back to two of the steps that they're going to do later on. One of the things that you're going to do is identify tools that you need. We provide you with the marketing tools. We provide you with lots of tech tools that you need to be able to accomplish your goals. The other thing that you're going to do through this process, I guess there's three things. Another thing you're going to likely do is have production-related goals, which is going to require marketing, and we give you marketing every month. And for those of you who are not new members but been around with us, know that we give you all the marketing that you need every single month. So that's the second piece. And then the third thing that you're going to also be doing as part of the 21-day goal acceleration program is understand what additional knowledge that I have. Like if you want to dramatically shift the buyer versus seller split that you have, meaning you want to work with more sellers versus buyers, you're going to need to acquire knowledge. You're going to have to start working on becoming a listing expert agent. You can't just, I want to work with more sellers. Well, you're going to need knowledge to do that. Even just the sheer selling of more homes may require that you either increase your knowledge around how to acquire a customer or how to serve a customer efficiently, right? One of our members, Christopher Dean, in Houston, part of the Monica Foster team. I forget how many homes that they sell, but they sold like in 2018. I didn't look at his current numbers from 2019, but in 2018, they sold over $90 million. And I know they were on track to do even more last year. And that just, and they only had like 4 or 5 people, 4 or 5 agents on the team. They've got a few other folks who help, like with transaction coordination, but they have like their operation has to really be focused on operations for scaling, not so much on the marketing side. So you might have to do the same thing as you shift from, working from buyers to wanting to work with more sellers. And that's where we have our whole training library for you to be able to get additional knowledge, additional skills based on what you're going to work on. So yes.
Yeah. So Sean says, including the 21-day goal program, how or where do I even begin the paperless agent program? I'm making the time to learn this program after being enrolled for so long. So what I would recommend is, because you're interested in the 21-day goal acceleration plan, then do this first.
Yep.
Because you want to take advantage of what you're interested in. You want to make sure you capitalize on that motivation, because the worst thing that you can do is overwhelm yourself and get distracted by all the options, because there are a ton of options in our membership.
And you don't need to do all of it.
And you don't need to do all of it. You need to be focused and figure out what is interesting to you so that you actually make use of it. Because we can provide you with all the value in the world, but if you don't actually like settle yourself down and implement something, you're never going to see the value of it. So what I would recommend is going through the 21-day plan first. And then after you've completed that, there's something called the 5-step career acceleration plan. And I believe that Paula, you were asking about the 5 big buckets. That's kind of incorporated in the 5-step career acceleration plan. It's called ACAP. It's available on your dashboard under the welcome new members area. And it's our idea of the big top where it says welcome. If you just click on that.
Keep talking.
Sorry. If you just click on that button right there, you'll be able to download. It's just a PDF. It's kind of like the workbook that we've provided in the 21-day goal acceleration plan. It's a PDF outlining like you need to do this first and then this, and these are the resources included in your club membership to help you accomplish these goals. It's set up very much like a start here, end here kind of situation. And it includes directions to different resources that we have within the club. So we mentioned the monthly value program. That's step 2 of the 5-step career acceleration plan. So you'll just work your way through that. Sean, I believe, is the one who I am addressing right now. So just go download that after you're done with the 21-day goal acceleration plan and work your way through that. And if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to us. Our customer support team is available to answer any questions that you have as you work through it.
That's a good point. A lot of people do get overwhelmed with feeling they have to do everything. And to be honest,
and then they end up doing nothing.
Yeah, I mean, you really only need to do 1 or 2 things a month to warrant the investment that you make with us. We make this a very affordable program. We do that on purpose so that more people can access it, more people can be successful in our industry. And you don't have to do it all. You really only need to do a couple of things to warrant the investment, like I mentioned. And over time, you will likely, if you start to do a few things, over time, you'll do more things. And, I like to look at it from any time we were trying to learn something or do something, much easier to do it in bite-sized chunks, much easier to do it in 20 minutes a day, 40 minutes a day, as opposed to trying to overwhelm yourself. So I agree with Jordan. Really just throw yourself into this 21-day goal acceleration program. Here's what I know just from doing this for myself is that you're going to get insights on how you can be more successful in 2020, well beyond what we can even offer you. Just having the insights, you are the magic of what's going to make yourself successful. You are going to then work through this program to get the insights and the motivation. And then at that point, we've unleashed the beast, so to speak, because you're going to be well into tearing after what you need. Now, we are hoping to be able to support you along the way. And I think the best way we can do that is, like Jordan said, after you go through the 21-day goal acceleration program, download that career acceleration program and give that a purview and see. We've got listed out there what to do. Pick the things that you want to do. So hopefully that helps you out, Sean.
Yes. Tana has a quick question. What online calendar do you use? I have a problem with looking back at history, so it's blank. We use just Google Calendar.
Yeah, we use Gmail. We have a Gmail account that's for the whole team, and then we just use the calendar for that to be able to for me. I use it for our daily planning. We use it for our coordinated, corporate planning as a team. And so it's all just in there. And you like with the neat thing about Google Calendars, you can create multiple calendars, right? So we've got like a marketing calendar, and then I've got my personal calendar, and each team member has their calendar. And so it's just all in Google Calendar, which makes it easy to do. And unfortunately, I can't. If I go to do a screen share, I might
just Google
mess up the whole thing and show you how to do it, but it is actually a decent tool. It's probably not the best tool in the world.
It's not good for project management. So if you have to do tasks per project, then Google is not really the right place to keep track of those things.
No, but if you're selling real estate, then it's going to be fine for you to do time allocation. Right?
Yeah, it's for time blocking, really. And that's what Chris means when he says that he can look back on his calendar and see how he spent his days, because he has blocks of time saying I was on a webinar at this point, I had a meeting at this point, such and such.
Right.
Yeah. Troyan has kind of an off-topic question, but it's about LinkedIn.
Okay.
Should I use my current LinkedIn profile as I'm a programmer and cloud architect, and I have a profile that has a big following, or should I do a new profile exclusively for real estate as I transition to real estate full-time?
Oh, that's a good question. So let's reverse engineer that a little bit. So here's what's going to happen. I guess it sort of depends on whether you are going to look for a position or positions in programming in the future, or if you're just going to be pursuing real estate in the future. I do not advocate having more than one profile. Generally speaking, as a rule of thumb, I don't advocate having more than one profile on a platform, with the exception of using like Facebook and having a Facebook business page and using a Facebook personal profile. When it comes to LinkedIn, that's your professional identity to everybody. And what happens is, if let's say you have two profiles on LinkedIn, it's going to confuse the person who is this you or is this you? It looks like it's both you. Which one's you? And so I would only advocate for having one. The real question is where you want to go with this. So if you plan on applying for a position, so when you think about it, if right now you have all IT related stuff on there, the purpose of LinkedIn is so that your IT references can see that, if you were going to get another job and that's for programming or whatever, they're going to be able to see that, oh yeah, you have the skills and whatnot. You've got the resume to be able to back that up. Now, conversely, and actually, I just thought of a reason why you shouldn't change or to have a separate profile, is you do have all those connections on there. Now, what's going to happen is that as you start to shift towards selling real estate, guess what? They're still going to look you up online, and they're going to see your LinkedIn profile, because LinkedIn always shows up in the top search results when somebody Googles you. And yes, your future clients will Google you. And you're going to want them to see that when they go there and find your LinkedIn profile, that, oh, wow, you sell real estate. Good. So that means you're going to have to start shifting your LinkedIn profile to being more real estate related. I say shifting because you don't want to eliminate your prior experience and your prior history, because you want people, and I don't know how many connections you have, but let's say you have 300 connections. You want people, and you even want those connections, because those are going to be future customers or future word of mouth and recommendation. Those are future customers. Everybody on your LinkedIn profile is a potential customer for you, or someone that might refer you. And so you're going to want to see that when they go to your LinkedIn profile, that, oh, they've seen you've made a transition. Oh, I'm working in programming, but I'm transitioning into selling real estate. And so you're going to want those folks to be able to see that not only have you transitioned to selling real estate, but that you're good at selling real estate, that you have expertise in selling real estate. And so I would advocate for taking your current profile and making like a divide where okay, you were doing programming, and now you shifted into real estate. If you look at my own, if you could actually go look up Chris Scott, you're going to see that I used to be a programmer before I got into marketing stuff. And so for the first, 5 years of my work experience was related to information technology and programming. And then I made the jump over into doing marketing and real estate stuff. And so you'll see that it's only like one line item early on, but before, I mean, like I've been in my career now for, I don't know, like 25 years, 20 some years, right? Gosh, it sounds like a really long time. You're going to see that as time has gone by, I have more and more experience in this one area. Well, if you would have looked, and they didn't have LinkedIn back when I was making my transition, LinkedIn didn't exist, but it would have been a bigger portion of my resume, so to speak, if like at the time that I made that transition. So I would look at it from your strategy of saying, how do I start making my LinkedIn profile reflect the fact that I now sell real estate? What kind of expertise can I share there so that those people who you're connected to become potential customers, potential people who might refer you, potential folks who might recommend you? Okay.
Yes, and you also want to make sure that the people who are researching you for real estate, people who are interested in working with you in terms of real estate, when they research you, they see a LinkedIn profile that shows your prior experience as well, so that they can verify.
So they're like, oh yeah, that's how I knew you and you got into real estate. And I trusted you from what you did back then, so I can trust you in selling real estate. Yeah,
and Ray makes a good point that LinkedIn doesn't allow two profiles. They're going to delete both of them if you try and set up two profiles anyway. So definitely just do what Chris said and shift your current profile. Yep. To reflect your new experience.
And we've got some good, by the way, if you're going to do the LinkedIn, if you're going to focus on LinkedIn, I encourage you to go
click on that training section on your dashboard and look for LinkedIn under our training library, because we've got some good training.
The one in particular I'm thinking of is the how to make or how to create an all-star status LinkedIn profile.
And we also had that professional LinkedIn guy. I forget his name.
Oh, Ted Prodromou.
Prodromou. That one is actually going to answer your specific questions, Troy, but more than the all-star profile one would. But Carolyn says, I have a conflict not scheduling items or getting things done. Can we get a call out for short-term solutions partners? So basically she needs help implementing things. Okay. So where would she find outsourced solutions for implementing things?
So let me read that. I have a conflict, not a scheduling item or how to get things done. Can we get a call out for short-term solutions partners? You know, Carolyn, what would be helpful, and maybe if you want to message me specifically what types of solution partners you're looking for, and I might be able to connect you then with specifically, like some specifics. If let's say you're looking for somebody to help you with Facebook, I can do an introduction there. Let's say you want help with your website, I can do an introduction there. You can give her my email address. I'm going to have Jordan give you my email address. So just email me. It's pretty easy. It's just chris@thepaperlessage.com. But if you want to type it in there for Carolyn so she knows and she's got it. But just email me exactly what types of solutions that you're looking for so that I might be able to, Carolyn, connect you with the right folks. Because I've got a pretty big network of people who might be able to help you in that particular area. Maybe you're looking for a virtual assistant. Maybe you're looking for somebody for website help. Maybe you're looking for somebody with ads help. Whatever that might be, I can at least connect you with somebody, right? Mm-hmm. So, and help you get those solutions in play. You know, we experience that same issue in a lot of in both our training business and our real estate business, is that there's just not enough hours in the day. And so the way we accomplish that is by finding the right partners, the right, whether it's going to be like a virtual assistant, whether it's a contractor, somebody, or maybe sometimes it's even like, like a whole outsourced provider for something. We can oftentimes find somebody or an organization that can really help us. And what we do is we trade a little bit of money for getting some of our time back, or just being able to do more and have additional capability. So that's definitely an advanced level problem to solve, Carolyn. I'd be happy to help you solve it.
So this session is being recorded. We will add it to your course site later today when it's done processing. I believe that an email is scheduled to go out pretty soon, and I'll double check that after we finish this webinar. So you guys will be able to rewatch this if you'd like to. And our next office hours for the 21-day goal acceleration program are going to be next Monday at noon Central Time. We'll send you a specific invitation for that then. We're thinking about switching webinar platforms. We're going to test that on the member training on Wednesday to see if it works. And if it does work, then we'll transition that over, which is why we don't have the link for you quite yet. But we will send that out to you guys. And if you have any questions or if you need any accountability as you're working through the 21-day goal acceleration plan, please refer to the private Facebook group. That community is really where you're going to find people who are in the same boat as you. So you'll be able to reach out, get some help, figure out where other people are at, and get some motivation while you're going through that.
Yeah, a good step maybe if one of you guys could take the initiative here is go to the private Facebook group and start a discussion thread about the office hours, and that way you can all connect and be able to like work together, maybe share what some of the lessons that you've learned, so it can be collaborative. Definitely, it is one of the steps that we have next week, that you're going to go to the private Facebook group specifically and interact, but there's no harm in doing it right now as well to get that additional engagement, because I'll tell you, we learn so much through interaction with others, particularly people who have additional experience that we don't have when it comes to just living life and being in the same industry or in the career field that we are. So we're all in real estate, so we all have our experiences can benefit each other.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. We will talk to you online very soon. Please come to the member training on Wednesday. If you haven't already registered for that, you can do so from your dashboard. So we hope to see you there.
All right. Thanks, guys. It's been a real pleasure having this little powwow with you. I'm excited, and I feel very honored and privileged to be able to help you as you formulate and design and go after your 2020 goals. I look forward to seeing you on our next office hours. I'll see you online. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye.